Hello folks, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In this video, we will be discussing your International Relations May month prelims current affair compilation. This series is targeted only at your prelims 2025 and only from that perspective we will be discussing the topics. I have a very bad throat, so bear with me. Now, when we start the video, understand that there will be certain news articles, topics we will face or we will deal with this question through your MCQ pattern. So, it will be more helpful for you. Understanding? We will be dealing with the topics in today's compilation about India's act of balancing bilateral relationships, global institution in the changing times, India and Indonesia relations, International Criminal Court, BIMSTEC, initiatives by India to engage with Africa, and animal diplomacy. Now, before we enter the topic, we have an announcement from Legacy IAS. Like we are doing today's course, we have curated a compilation of monthly current affairs specifically for your prelims 2025. At the same point of time, if you want to learn about mains answer writing, content development, etc., for your answer, we have launched Impact 2025. The link for both is present in the description box down below. To check that out. Let's come back to the topic. India's act of balancing bilateral relationship. Here we will be discussing about India's relationship with Iran even after the sanctions imposed on Iran by the United States of America. See, first and foremost, if you have to understand about Iran, forgive me for my throat. So, what happens is in the region where, let's say, we have to get into the Central Asian region, one of the key aspects to enter into this region would be through your Afghanistan, Pakistan. But we know Pakistan and India are not on very best terms. Afghanistan now, especially with the takeover of Taliban, India has not outright stated what its position with Afghanistan and it has not formally recognized its status. So the only other option we have is through to engage with Iran. Enter with Iran as your backing, that is as a route to enter into Central Asia. Why? Because there is also increasing of your CPEC, China Pakistan Economic Corridor. In what our environment is, India is trying to do the best it can. But now the only way to enter was we said Pakistan not possible, Afghanistan not possible. We found out your Iran. Even in here, USA is the one that is putting sanctions. One thing with regard to your US sanctions is, let's say US has put a sanction on a particular country, Iran. And if some other country engages with that country which has got a sanction, then this will lead to a sanction getting to India also. This is the issue surrounding your bilateral relationship where India has to do the balancing act between your Iran and USA, especially with your Chabar port. Okay, this is the issue which is concerning India, where it has to balance strategic interests with both USA as well as India. Look at this, the sanctions that are imposed on Iran or any countries that align with Iran are your CATSA or countering America's adversaries through sanctions. One such similar scenario where we faced was when US had imposed sanctions on Russia. And yet despite that, India went ahead and purchased your S-400s from it. In one of the interviews, if you see, a journalist is seen asking our Minister of External Affairs, yes, Jayanagara, that India has increased its oil purchase from Russia. How do you justify this? So, Yes, Jayshankar, our external affairs minister, has given an apt reply. See, India is a oil consuming country, yet we have not yet reached any sort of carbon net neutralities. In this period of time, where are the other countries which are rich in oil? For example, your Venezuela. Yes. Any countries that we can have a link and take the oil that is to suit our national security, energy consumption demands, you have put sanctions on them. So, which exact country are we supposed to go? You were telling no to Iran, you're telling no to Venezuela. So, what other option we have rather than to go towards Russia? Now, as a developing country, we have to meet our own needs. We have to meet our national interest, and then we have to be looking into our collective interests. So, this is where the conflict of interest is coming with meeting the national interest and collective security. One thing why your USA has put sanctions on your Iran is for its nuclear program. Look at this. For a country to maintain something called as strategic autonomy, which means my country's internal interests as well as, look at the words that I'm using, internal interests as well as external commitments are met through by my own country's challenges, demands, delicates. Now, when I say delicates, I am trying to tell that we have certain sensitivities. Understanding? Now, you tell you have to enter into Central Asia and you will tell Iran is not the way. That USA can tell. But for India, we have no other option for our neighbors because we have our own delicate intricate issues here, we have our own sensitivities here with regarding to your Afghanistan, with regarding to your Pakistan, with increasing growing presence of China. So keeping in all of this, we have to act with what is best for our country's interests. When we are able to do that freely without external influence, then that country is said to have strategic autonomy. Look at this. De-hyphenation. India has constantly used de-hyphenation to deal with interests that are conflicting in nature. For example, how India has a different interest, that is different engagement with Israel, at the same point of time Palestine. India maintains its own stance with both these countries irrespective of other external influence like your USA. Diplomatic engagements and outreach are one of the main ways how a country can manage its strategic autonomy. For example, how India did Operation Ganga during your Russia Ukraine crisis. And this is very much needed, especially in the period of multilateralism and multipolarity. One main thing is India is known to have its presence. India aspires to be a global leader. No doubt about it. Yes, India aspires to be a global leader, increase its status, position, etc. But just with respect to this Iran itself, you take, constantly India is criticized as telling it is a fence sitter. Meaning what? You are you claim neutrality. You claim you want to be neutral. Or otherwise, what it appears to be as inaction. The same scenario was observed in your Russia Ukraine scenario also. Recently, when your Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited your US President Donald Trump, even he has highlighted that many times India has been told that it is not doing anything, it is on the path of inaction. It is more of not even contributing to anything as bringing the people trying to get the negotiation, or it's not even picking sides. What your India pointed out was we are on the path to peace, and we believe that settlement settlement can only be reached in your negotiating table rather than in your war room. And your Prime Minister Narendra Modi is even held saying that I have personally mentioned this to both President Putin as well as to President Zelensky, proving what India is not doing the role of just fence sitter or being neutral all the time or taking inaction. But in what we are trying to do is trying to bring a long term prevailing peace in the region. What are some of the major issues that is coming? Because of India moving towards USA. See, yes, maybe during the post Second World War, during your Cold War era, there was bipolarity, USA, USSR. But today, Russia is not what USSR was. At the same point of time, today, if US is to be countered, they're forming the alliance. What alliance? Your Russia is more moving towards China to counter USA. Because India is moving towards USA, Pakistan is moving towards China. So this is making the alliance of China, Pakistan, and Russia, which is not very much good for India. See, because Russia has been a very good friend. In one of the BRICS summit, Indian Prime Minister is known for saying that one old friend is better than two new friends. This is the direct jibe he is taking at. This is the one old friend. This is the two new friends. Understanding? We can tell, yes, so what if those three are there? We're closer to USA, no? But one thing about your USA, if you have to observe, is there is this common saying, it is bad to be USA's enemy. It is worst to be USA's friend. So that is in the kind of situation that we are in now. We can't give up on our allies. We cannot give up on our engagement, keeping only USA in mind. Constant criticism, especially coming from your Iran, is also when your USA pulled out of JCPOA, which was formed during your Barack Obama when he was the US president. When your USA pulled out of this agreement, India didn't condemn it. India didn't publicly come out and speak against it. This was one of the main things where they tell that you are doing the role of a fence sitter. You are very much in neutrality. You are not speaking out. But it is not just neutrality, it is leading to inaction. While you are claiming to be wanting a global leader. India's decision to purchase S 400 missile systems from Russia, despite the threat of US sanctions under CATSA, reflects India's attempt to maintain a delicate balance in its economic relations with Russia and US, strategic partnership with Russia and the US, defense procurement from Russia and US, voting patterns in the UN with Russia and US. The correct answer is strategic partnerships with Russia and US. Which of the following is not a factor contributing to India's balancing act in its relation with the US and Russia? India's dependence on Russian defense supplies, India's growing economic ties with the US, India's membership in the BRICS grouping, India's dispute with China over territorial issue. D is the correct answer. Which of the following statements best describe India's approach to Iran's nuclear deal? India has consistently supported the deal and been critical of the US withdrawal. This was not the thing. India has maintained a neutral stance on the deal and has sought to balance its relations with Iran and US. Read out all the statements. India has opposed the deal and sought to strengthen its relationship with US and Israel. India has been seeking to mediate between US and Iran to resolve their differences. The correct answer is India has maintained a neutral stance. This is the constant conflict. What is the importance of developing what is the importance of developing Chabar port by India? India's trade with African countries will increase enormously. India's relation with oil producing Arab countries will be strengthened. India will not depend on Pakistan for access to Afghanistan and Central Asia. Pakistan will facilitate and protect installation of gas pipeline between Iraq and India. The correct answer is India will not depend on Pakistan for access to Afghanistan and Central Asia. Next topic we will be seeing is global institution in the changing times. Most of the international institutions, if you see, are all the product of your aftermath of Second World War. For example, your United Nations, 1945 especially, when there was the very much need to reorder or restructure the world order, they decided that we need an international institution which will be there towards promoting global peace and order. The same thing we can tell about your World Bank and International Monetary Fund. Okay. Wherein this was about your global peace and order from political perspective, means this is more about your economic reconstruction. Because as of that point of time, the world was in shambles. Then when we speak about your World Trade Organization, this is from our movement of the world towards liberalization, towards globalization. Okay, so this came after, this is a transition from your GATT. Your World Trade Organization is a transition from GATT, that is General Agreement on Tariffs. So this deals with more of trade framework, and it has to be, initially WTO had to be created for in a manner that the trade policies will not be suitable or helpful only for the developed nations, but also for your developing and least developed countries. But eventually, that became as a major issue wherein it is not able to address the issues for which it was paid for. What are the common issues? Representation and inclusiveness. For example, it is still in the same 1990s period only. It has not included the new and emerging trends. It has not included the upcoming powers. For example, India, the largest country and third largest economy, has only 2.75 of your percent of your drawing rights in your IMF. Another thing, if you see, they are not having sufficient power to hold their own. They are very much dependent on the Western powers, and they have been most time criticized as they are acting according to the strings. They are the puppets under the strings of your Western powers. Okay, and especially when we say with regard to your UN and UNSC and all, still they have the veto powers, wherein your majority of the issues which your countries, let's say your third world countries or your developing countries, more specifically your global south countries, are facing, are not effectively addressed because of this veto concept of your permanent members, nor are they wanting to broaden the permanent status. So this is one of the few issues that is plaguing the international institutions. Alongside, yes, because of the stagnation in this has led to a lot of smaller groupings coming in place. For example, your G20, BRICS. Yes, so these kind of things are becoming more important rather than these international institutions. So what is the motive, or if we have to strengthen or reinvigorate these institutions, what role do you think they will play? in the international medium is unparalleled membership, which will involve almost the entire globe, meaning almost majority of the membership. It is the guardian of global peace. It is the source and regulator of international law. It will provide for your global financial stability. It will map the global interest, for example, your sustainable development goals. Yeah. But in turn, what is seen from this is that it is not favoring, it is not on the sides of your African countries, least developed countries, or your emerging economies, but rather it is acting in the interest of your developed or Western powers. Look at this. The United Nations Security Council has five permanent members with veto power. Which of the following is a major criticism of the UNSC structure? It does not represent the interest of small and medium sized countries. It is dominated by Western powers and do not reflect the diversity of the global community. It is ineffective in addressing global security challenges due to veto power of P5. Of the above. The correct answer is all of the above. These are all the criticisms it is faced. For example, your World Health Organization was criticized for lack of its enough actions during your COVID pandemic. The World Trade Organization is an international organization that promotes free trade and sets rules for global trade. Which of the following is a major challenge facing the WTO? A rise of protectionism and trade nationalism, increasing influence of emerging economies like China and India, difficulty in reaching consensus among member countries on key issues, all of the above. The correct answer is all of the above. The International Monetary Fund is an international organization that provides financial assistance to countries facing economic difficulties. Which of the following is a major criticism of IMF policies? They prioritize the interests of creditor countries over that of the debtor countries. They impose austerity measures that can exacerbate economic crisis. They fail to address the root causes of economic instability. All of the above. I am giving all of the above in most answers is just so that I can give more content to you on that topic. Correct answer is all of the above. The G20 is an international forum that brings together the world's leading economies to discuss global economic issues. Which of the following is the key feature of G20? It is a formal international organization with a secretariat and a fixed membership. It is an informal grouping of countries that meets annually to discuss global economic issues. It is focused on promoting free trade and investment among its member countries. It is seen as a rival to the existing international economic institutions such as IMF and World Bank. The correct answer is informal grouping of countries that meet to discuss global economic issues. The BRICS grouping is an international forum that brings together five major emerging economies: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Which one of the following is the key feature of BRICS grouping? It is a formal international organization with secretariat and fixed membership, informal grouping of countries that meet annually to discuss global economic and political issues. Focus on promoting economic cooperation, investment among its member countries. Seen as a rival to existing IMF and World Bank, correct answer is it is a grouping that meets annually to discuss economic issues and to alleviate its standards in the global level. The WHO is an international organization that promotes global health and sets standards for healthcare. Which of the following is the key feature of WHO? Specialized agency of United Nations, headquartered in Geneva, Switzerland, membership of over 190 countries, all of the above. Answer is all of the above. Next topic we will be discussing is your India and Indonesia. India and Indonesia have celebrated almost 75 years of its diplomacy together. the same point of time, if you see further down, we will be discussing in the video wherein our increased efforts of diplomacy has been aligning with India's policy of Act East Asia policy and neighborhood first policy. So your India Indonesia diplomacy is on this level. If you see the themes of your Jakarta forum, which was conducted by India, it specified on capitalizing on climate, on digital horizons, road to equality, wherein women led initiatives to be supported more. India and Indonesia have a long standing history where they both took part in a Bandung conference, which led to the creation of NAM or non alignment movement. So much so that your NAM is considered as a grouping where your newly formed independent countries not wanting to align themselves with any of the power blocks, wanting to retain their independence. At the same point of time, they have to align with the entire world or the global order to survive. One such thing was your NAM. Okay. Recently, our Indonesian embassy conducted e-sports show match in your Pune, where they held that India has huge platform for this, which is the potential is yet to be realized. Indian Embassy in Jakarta organized Jakarta Futures Forum in 2024 so as to make sure of important things wherein a developed sustainable growth can be seen. We have also conducted a lot of defense industry exhibition cum seminar. This is the first ever of its kind between India and Indonesia. We also have joint exercises like Samudra Shakti. We have Indo Corpat, it is coordinated patrol. This is mainly between the two navies of India and Indonesia. Just these keywords you remember, it will be useful for you in the prelims. Other aspects with regard to from strictly from prelims point, the facts from India, Indonesia that you will want is are our strategic partnership in 2005 is now updated to new comprehensive strategic partnership in 2018. We have also started a shared vision of India Indonesia maritime cooperation in Indo Pacific. But one of the concerns we are facing in these issues is China's growing influence with your Belt Road Initiative and also trying to involve in economic partnerships with your Indonesia. This is one of the key issues that India also is very concerned about. And one more thing is Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative, Indonesia's global maritime forum to make sure the Indian Ocean region remains a stable, a peace and prosperous. We also have a vision to synergize enhancing geopolitical engagement between India and Indonesia. Look at the positioning of India and Indonesia. For your mapping kind of questions, look at this 10-degree channel, 6-degree channel, India and then Indonesia. This remember very well. India and Indonesia also held your economic and financial dialogue in 2023. And you will also have to look of your INS Sindh Kesari, which was docked in Jakarta, which was a result because of your military to military engagements. This is one of a very good move coming from these engagements. Your experts have said that India and Indonesia should develop rich regional, cultural, and heritage linkages between India and Indonesia. For example, Swami Vivekananda Cultural Center, we have Bali Yatra, which ties between your India and Indonesia. We also have one main thing is your Sagar, security and growth for all in the region, especially in your Indonesian, especially in your Indian Ocean region. Okay, look at this. These are all the facts which you have to remember for prelims. The keyword is Operation Samudra Maitri. You have to remember just these keywords between Indonesia and India. For what? For your humanitarian assistance of your post tsunami and earthquake in 2018. Okay, then Indonesia has become the biggest recipient in your ITEC, Indian Technical and Economic Cooperation Program. Another thing is India's model of your payment system, UPI system, is also being encouraged in Indonesia. So we are trying to learn from our shared models. This is also one important keyword. The next topic is International Criminal Court. Recently, if you see, International Criminal Court had issued a warning against your Russian president. First and foremost, understand this: people who are not signatory or who are not a part of International Criminal Court are your India, USA, Israel, Russia. Okay, your ICC is one of the international institution whose decision is binding on the member countries. What is its main type of crimes that covers under ICC? Genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, crimes of aggression, trying to use your children as soldiers. All of these things comes under your bit of your ICC. This is the first permanent court of investigation and to prosecute individuals. At the same point of time, we will also discuss its disadvantages. Yes, it is the first international permanent court, but it lacks its own police or investigative agency. It has to rely on states, member states for this. Another thing is it lacks funding, lacks support. It has to rely on the member states. For example, if 21 detentions have been given by the ICC, only 15 have been able to be managed to do so up until so far, especially with your support of member states. It's founded on the Treaty of Roman Statute. 124 countries are its member states. Look at this. The jurisdiction is genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes. This topic came in is because the prosecutors held that ICC should give arrest warrants for your head of state of Israel and your Hamas leaders for bringing so much issues, so much atrocities against humankind in your Israel Hamas conflict. Now we will see the comparison between ICC and ICJ. ICC is your, it is coming from your Rome Statute, whereas the International Court of Justice is established by your UN Charter. Headquarters of both is in Hague. The composition here for ICC is 18 judges, whereas for your ICJ it is 15 judges. The cases it holds in only individuals criminally responsible for the offences, whereas your ICJ has two types of cases, both your legal disputes as well as for your advisory opinions. That is, let's say if any of your UN organs, the organizations such as your UNSC will refer a case, it will give advisory remarks on this. Another topic that we will be seeing is with respect to your BIMSTEC or your Bay of Bengal surrounding regions. By that we mean your Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal, Myanmar, Thailand, Sri Lanka. These are the member countries who wants to increase the transportational network, at the same point of time prosperity around the Bay of Bengal states, the littoral regions, and more importantly, they are trying to create, like for example, we have something called as SARC. Yes, your SARC has become more of a non-operational, we can say, constant conflict between your India and Pakistan. Just because of this, we shouldn't suffer having good relationship with other countries. So we try to form different organization with the other member countries, excluding Pakistan. One such thing is your BIMSTEC, or associating ourselves with your Bay of Bengal states. The secretariat is in Dhaka. Most importantly, here, if you have to understand, that is BIMSTEC was established with the signing of Bangkok Declaration, and we have BIMSTEC disaster management exercises. Okay, this is clearly only from prelims perspective we are doing. The initiatives by India to engage with Africa. This keyword, Kampala principles. If they ask in the prelims as to what it is associated with, it is the initiative of your India to engage with Africa. Okay, what is this Kampala principle? Mainly, your Indian Prime Minister has highlighted this as to these will be our areas of interest where we will engage with each other. Okay. Then we have Asia Africa Growth Corridor, which we have started with the partnership from Japan. We also have human assistance, disaster relief. We have did it during your Mozambique ka issue and Madagascar ka time. Okay. More specifically, here you have to focus on Kampala principles. This is very important. The last topic for today is your animal diplomacy. Animal diplomacy, in simple, if you have to understand, it is either giving or leasing out of animals. It is more of a soft power diplomacy to develop between two countries. For example, your China has panda diplomacy, Australia has koala diplomacy. Okay, we India also have established this kind of animal diplomacy, but not specifically only for animal diplomacy. During Japan, post your Second World War, India had gifted Japan with two elephants. So we also have this elephant diplomacy also. Yeah, it is more of giving or lending animals to bring in a sort of goodwill gesture between the two member countries. Okay, look at this. Your Malaysia has bought up orangutan diplomacy. But one criticism associated with this is you're trying to use animals for this. This is not very good. This is in a sense of cruelty to animals, where the animal will not be okay in the surrounding that you are going to bring or introduce it. So it is not good for this. So there is a lot of criticism surrounding animal diplomacy also. That's it. We've reached the end of the video. Thank you for bearing with me up until the end with my voice. And we've reached the end of the content. If you like our content, subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it along with your friends. Thank you.